Welcome to one more of the Premier Project podcast where we discuss the best ways to implement the multi-actor approach during the project proposal writing stage. My name is Mikelis. Our guest for today is Irene Gavieiro from CIHEAM Zaragoza. So, hi Irene.
Hello, how are you?
And as usual, I am joined here by my colleague Adamsone-Fiskovica. So, let's dive immediately into questions. So, could you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, Irene?
Yeah, sure. So actually I joined the Premier project in May this year. It's the first time I'm working in a Horizon Europe project, but actually I have previous experience in the development and humanitarian world, so I have worked in projects quite a lot, and even if we didn't call it multi-actor approach, I guess that this is what I have been doing until now, because I have worked with different stakeholders from all levels, from policy to practitioners. So in that sense, it's quite a similar approach to what I have been doing before.
So while you don't exactly have had experience with multi-actor, you have a firm grasp of what it is, basically.
Yeah, exactly. When I joined the project, in the beginning maybe it was a bit difficult to understand because the concept sounded a bit complex, and also the framework where it's framed in Horizon Europe. But when you go to the core concept, actually I realized that this is much more simple, I think, as a concept of what we have been talking about. And so.
And what was the way you called it? The things that you did that now are framed as multi-actor? How would you call that at that time?
So basically in the project that I have been involved until now, what we say is that it needs to be inclusive. And I remember there were a lot of conversation, for example, in the way of, I think in the development world, and we usually talked before about beneficiaries, and it has been a big change, because actually beneficiary is it's related to a passive actor. Right. So we are more talking about stakeholders or actors, because we want them to participate actively. And I think this is quite similar what we are trying to do now, right? So yeah, I think that's the main the most similar thing.
Yeah, but I think what's interesting that for a person who claims, and you have been repeating this constantly, that I don't know much about multi-actor approach, I think this is one of the better definitions we have had so far. So thank you. Finally, we have the best definition. But so from our previous conversations, I know that your background isn't exactly in neither agriculture nor food nor these typical things that we associate with Horizon Europe Cluster 6. You are related to communication, aren't you?
Yeah.
So could you maybe explain why or how does your communication background links to something so abstract as multi-actor approach?
So actually my background is on communications, but also in development and international cooperation, which I think is quite a strong combination, I would say. And it gives me a lot of perspective on how to engage with different actors, for example. And what I have seen until now with all the Premier meetings that we have had is that we are talking about multi-actor, right? So we cannot only see at the academic or research perspective. And even in some conversations, maybe too technical, I feel sometimes, I cannot provide much information, but I think it's also good to have other perspectives. And so my background is not in agriculture, but when I was, for example, in East Timor, I worked in a sustainable development project, and it was directly linked with farmers. We were working in a value chain project. So actually the conversation with them were quite direct, and also the government was involved, technical institutions as well. So I could see how these dynamics and how the conversation should be brought to make it a real impact in the communities. And I think actually this is what we are talking about here, right? Like we are trying to make innovation that not only stays in research centers or universities, but that has a real impact on the real world. So I don't know, I feel like maybe having someone in the project from the other side can be beneficial, at least to have conversations or debate. to learn from each other, right?
But I think that's what we are hearing again and again, that while people maybe have not known the concept, if they have worked with farmers and tried to make a real impact and have been concerned with sustainability, then the same principles have been in a daily thing in their work, and now they are just adopting this particular way, saying like, look, there's a concept for that.
Yeah. For me, I think what it took more time to understand is the framework of Horizon Europe, especially. And when we talk, for example, these 7 requirements about the multi-actor, it looks very complex, but I think when you go into the detail, because the language or the narrative can be a bit technical, but when you go into the detail, it's actually quite logic. And I feel that we all apply multi-actor in one way or another in many aspects, not only specifically linked to Horizon Europe projects, but it's just the conceptualization sometimes is a bit difficult.
And so it seems that multi-actor is not a problem, but Horizon Europe and multi-actor is a challenge.
Yeah, but I think the specifics might be that in Horizon you speak also of other actors as official partners in the projects, and I think in your experience in the other projects beforehand, maybe that was not the case, that it's more like a stakeholder thing, that you engage with them, but they don't have this responsibility vis-a-vis either the funder or the organization. Do I get it right?
I feel that the structure is a bit different. Like I could see it from innovation, of course, like the weight of the researcher, of the academic is a bit different. Now definitely I think we are talking about 2 different frameworks, but still there are some things that you can pick up from.
I think it's very clear that Horizon is very particular structure, even if compared with different funding instruments. And did you want to add something else?
Yeah, I was wondering about, because you listed a lot of stakeholder groups that you have worked with before, I was wondering, is there a particular group that you find more challenging to involve, and who is usually taking the lead in actually steering or brokering this collaboration and inclusion? Who is the one who is responsible for it?
I'm not sure how to answer this question, because I think it really depends on the context that you are working in. I don't know, in previous positions that I have had, of course you have to work with government bodies, and sometimes because they have their own rules, so sometimes it can be challenging, and also they have their own timelines, so you have to align with your project. I really enjoy working with communities, I would say, but still as well it needs time, and I think one of the main conversations that we have had the past days on the multi-actor actually is that all this co-creation process needs time, because actually it needs discussion, debate, everything. And I feel at the end is behind co-creation is the relationship that you have with the people, right? Because we are building on trust and all of that. So you can be very technical, but I think the social skills on how to communicate and this is important.
But I think that's one of the things that we have recognized in our research that we have done on multi-actor approach, that primary factors that distinguish that, of course there are many, but the need of time, or the time investments that you have to put to actually to make it work, is substantially higher when you compare it to everything else. So that's the primary resource. You have to account for the times that you will need to build trust, to reach agreement, basically to do everything.
And I think that's the main message of Premiere, actually, that we're focusing on the proposal development stage, because then you can sort of at least have some more time before jumping into the project implementation to build this.
You're right, but so I'm with one eye I'm looking at the time, and probably we have to move to the things that actually you are best aware of, or you know better than everybody else. So in the Premiere project you are building this MOOC system.
Yes.
Massive online of open access course, or I'm not sure what the abbreviation stands for, but probably somewhere there. So could you maybe elaborate slightly what it is?
So the idea of the MOOC, it will be an online free course, and our idea is to equip participants and learners that are interested in doing this course with the practice methodologies to have this co-creation on the multi-actor approach. So actually it will contain 8 modules, and it will go from the real concept of the multi-actor approach to the evaluation criteria. Then we will go into stakeholders as well, how to form a consortium. We will also address the administrative and financial issues, and also, and not less important, the soft skills for co-creation that we have been talking about. So yeah, we are creating this platform that if you do this course, the idea is that you will be a pro in multi-actor approach.
And who wouldn't want to be a pro in multi-actor approach?
Exactly. But I think what is really interesting as well about this product is that it will be available for everyone. So if you're a newcomer that doesn't know or haven't heard before about the multi-actor approach, you will be able to do the 8 modules, and it will be interesting for you because even if it will be technical, we will give you the introduction needed for you to reach this knowledge. But also, if you are an experienced person in presenting proposals, multi-actor proposals in Horizon Europe, still I think you will find some information that is quite interesting. For example, on financial or administrative issues. I say this because I can see it in all the conversations that we have had in the past years. I mean, months for me in the project, is that there is still a lot to discuss on multi-actor, and the knowledge is there. So what we are trying is to put it together as an educational material and make it engaging for learners. Yeah.
Okay. But so you mentioned that it's definitely will be helpful to newcomers. I assume it also will be helpful to somebody who is already well established.
Exactly.
And then from what I gather, it's like a buffet where you can just put what you like on your plate, and then you basically construct your own meal.
Yeah, exactly. As we thought about this platform, we want it to be as open as possible. So if you are only interested in one module, you can do this module. You don't need to do the 8 of them, and you can jump from one to another. Of course, if you finalize the 8 modules, you will receive a certificate, but this is not compulsory. And basically that's the information. And sorry, one more thing that I wanted to mention is that one of the core aspects of this course that we are developing is that we want it to reflect the reality. So what we are doing is that we are gathering case studies and people that has participated in a project from diverse backgrounds, diverse stakeholder groups that can present a little bit on the multi-actor from their experience. We are not only looking at projects that went well or were successful, that of course we will have some examples on this, but also we want to create a little bit of space for debate on things that didn't work so well and lessons learned. So
it's adapted to different types of learning. So if you like to read, you read something. If you like to be aware of examples that worked, you can get that. Maybe something even else.
Yeah, exactly. So as we thought about it, in each of the modules we will have video presentations from experts, and with the video you will be able to download the transcription, like the written module, because sometimes we feel actually people prefer to read rather than to watch a video. But then we will also have these case studies, as I mentioned, reflection exercise. We will include some of these exercises, so if you have a project, you can apply what you are learning to your own experience or the project that you are developing. And then also a quiz, so you can see if you learn.
It's always good to have a quiz.
Exactly, it's always good to
test your knowledge.
Yeah, and then also finally we will have external resources and tools. I think this is one of the strengths of the Premier project, the tools that we are developing, but we will also have some external tools beyond Premier.
Okay, so and if you want to capture even more attention, maybe some picture of cats somewhere.
That's also good to think about it.
So I think one of the most prominent feature of MAA is this, that you have different various stakeholders with different needs and different discourses and different like they are different. And I wonder, you are saying that this MOOC course is for everyone, and then we know that policymakers have different way how they express themselves and entrepreneurs. So how are you overcoming this gap?
So this is a really good question, because actually we are still discussing how to do this in the best possible way. It was very challenging in the beginning for us to visualize who will be doing this course, because of course you will not write the material the same way from a target group to another, but we are trying to make it as much as inclusive as possible. And as I said, I think including different case studies and examples will be helpful for that, because maybe you don't feel represented in some of the examples, but yes, you can find other examples that actually you think, oh, that's actually very helpful for my work or for my area. So
okay, so you are thinking, and the end product will have the answer to that. But if that is one challenge, could you maybe list some others that you have had while building this?
Yeah, I think so. For sure, the audience was one of the challenges, and also. So in the beginning, I thought it was a challenge, but right now I think it's not. Which is all these initial conversations on which information should be part of the modules, because I felt, as I told you before, that multi-actor approach is a bit of an abstract concept, and I think sometimes when you try to do a educational material, it's a bit difficult to specify what it should be there. But all these meetings, conversations that we have, and even exercise, I think it's helping us to see what should be there and how we can make the most complete course. But it's still a challenge, because I feel in the multi-actor approach you can have different interpretations from your experience, from your perspective, and it's not that one is better than another, it's just that there are different ways of seeing it. But of course we need to find a common direction within the project, so sometimes this is a bit challenging, I would say.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a multi-actor approach in action also.
Exactly.
In your work in trying to explain this approach to others, so I think it's like a double challenge for you, but also you are learning through that a lot also, to feed into the material afterwards to provide to the learners.
Yeah, and I think it's also good that we are not providing a close definition of what it is, because it's still open, right?
And I find it very interesting that people who are probably attending things like this, they are not looking for even more complexity. They are looking for answers, but then they are engaging with very complex issues. So how to actually provide ready-made answers to something that doesn't really often have predefined answers, and you have to identify what is the best thing that works for you. But so we realized that identifying the themes has been challenged initially. Now you are more or less have a grasp of what it is. Are there any others? And I have listed some potential, like lack of experts who can actually do this and have the knowledge, or difficulties to conceptualize maybe some of these examples. Or maybe lack of examples in general, because you said that you are relying so much on examples.
Yeah. So for me, the challenge there is that like, who can consider his or herself an expert on multi-actor? Because I think if you ask people around, they give you many examples, and actually you think like, oh, so you're actually implementing multi-actor, but then because it's to put a tag on it, right? So I feel people that don't feel confident of saying, no, I'm an expert on multi-actor, and I get it, because I get it. So yeah, in terms, I think getting different perspective from different experts on these for the case studies will be helpful. But yeah, no, I agree that this has been a bit challenging, because it's not an area where people can call themselves experts.
Nobody gives a degree in multi-actor.
But I mean, if it was easy, probably there were already 10 online courses.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
The easy things are already achieved, and now we are aiming for the hard things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but we have been talking about the MOOC for around 10 minutes, and I think by now those people who are listening, they are really curious about this, and we are talking in the future tense. So could you maybe elaborate when it will be available and where people could look for it?
Sure. So we hope it will be available in early 2026. For sure, they will be informed. Everyone that is interested, because we will do a dissemination in our social media, etc. But yeah, right now we are in the process of developing all the materials and make them look nice for the platform.
Don't forget the cat pictures.
Yeah, exactly. It will be in a place in Moodle that I think many people has done courses there, and it's quite intuitive and user friendly. So.
it will be accessible from the Premiere website, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So people who don't know, they can access Premiere and they will find that.
Exactly.
So just Google Premiere, multi-actor, and then you for sure will locate it, our website.
Exactly.
Okay, so time is flying when we are having this conversation. So one last question before we finish that we ask to everybody. So for somebody who is sitting by, in their car listening in their headphones or wherever they are listening to this, and they are thinking, I should really consider applying for multi-actor Horizon Europe project. So where would you recommend this person to start?
So definitely I would say that this person should do our MOOC from module 1 because there all the information will be there available. But we have many other materials in our website that are for them, and even the webinars, the testimonials, and other like the tools in the toolbox. They will find as much information as they
Okay, so visit Premiere webpage and you will get the information there.
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, thank you for this very interesting conversation. It's been always a pleasure, and I really enjoy each of the recordings that we are doing. And I hope we will have a possibility to repeat this sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank
After
you so
the
much.
MOOC is released.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.